Here's something I think about a lot. Working in medicine, most people know more about how their car engine works than how their own body processes food. And that gap has consequences. Because your body isn't just burning calories like a furnace. It's running a system of extraordinary complexity, one that responds to every single thing you eat, with hormonal signals, microbial activity, gene expression changes, and metabolic shifts. Nutrition is not just fuel, it's information. So today, we're going to trace a meal through your body, from first bite to final function. And along the way, clarify what nutrition science actually knows, what's still debated, and what matters most in practice. Digestion begins before food even hits your stomach. The moment you chew, salivary enzymes, specifically amylase, begin breaking down carbohydrates. And chewing itself matters more than most people appreciate. Mechanical breakdown increases surface area, which directly determines how efficiently your digestive enzymes can work downstream. Food then enters the stomach, which functions less like a pouch and more like a controlled chemical reactor. Hydrochloric acid, at a pH low enough to damage metal over time, unfolds proteins, denatures many pathogens, and converts solid food into a semi-liquid called chyme. But the most critical phase of digestion? It happens in the small intestine. Here, the pancreas releases a suite of specialized enzymes that cleave carbohydrates, proteins, and fats into their absorbable units. The intestinal wall isn't smooth. It's folded into structures called villi and microvilli that expand its effective surface area to roughly the size of a tennis court. That's the engineering that makes absorption possible. Once nutrients cross the intestinal wall, they travel directly to the liver, the body's metabolic command center, which decides what gets burned immediately, what gets stored, and what gets exported to other tissues. Which brings up a distinction I find myself explaining to patients regularly. You are not what you eat. You are what you absorb. Everything in food breaks down into two categories: macronutrients, carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, and micronutrients, which are vitamins and minerals. Let's start with carbohydrates, because they've probably generated more confusion than any other nutrient. Most carbs eventually become glucose, the primary fuel your cells run on. When glucose enters the bloodstream, the pancreas releases insulin, which signals cells to absorb it. Glucose is either burned for immediate energy or stored as glycogen in the liver and muscles. Here's the nuance that matters. Glycogen storage is finite. Once those stores are full, excess energy gets converted to fat. And not all carbohydrates behave identically. Simple carbohydrates, refined sugars, white flour, digest rapidly, creating sharp blood sugar spikes, followed by crashes. Complex carbohydrates digest more slowly, providing steadier energy. Fiber is a special case. Humans can't digest most of it, but your gut bacteria can, fermenting it into short-chain fatty acids that support intestinal health and help regulate inflammation throughout the body. Fat spent decades being unfairly treated as the villain of nutrition. Biology tells a different story. Your brain is approximately 60% fat by dry weight. Cell membranes are built from fat. Sex hormones require fat to synthesize. And vitamins A, D, E, and K are fat-soluble, meaning without dietary fat, they cannot be absorbed. Structure matters here, though. Monounsaturated fats, olive oil, avocados, have robust cardiovascular evidence behind them. Omega-3 polyunsaturated fats are essential and anti-inflammatory. The problem in modern diets isn't fat broadly. It's that the ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 has shifted dramatically. And industrially processed fats, particularly artificial trans fats, have consistently shown adverse effects on cardiovascular and metabolic health. That's one of the genuinely settled debates in nutrition science.
Then there's protein. Probably the most underconsumed macronutrient in people trying to improve their health. Protein is your body's structural material. Muscle, enzymes, immune antibodies, cellular receptors, much of your skin, all built from amino acids. 9 of those amino acids are essential, meaning your body cannot synthesize them. If even one is deficient, critical repair processes slow down. Leucine deserves specific mention. It's the amino acid that most directly activates muscle protein synthesis, the process of repairing and building muscle tissue. This is why protein quality, not just quantity, matters for people trying to maintain muscle, especially as they age. Protein also has the highest thermic effect of any macronutrient, meaning your body expends more energy just digesting it. This is part of why high-protein diets tend to support satiety and body composition. Nutrients don't become usable energy the moment they're absorbed. They have to enter the mitochondria, the cellular structures that produce ATP, the molecule your body actually runs on. This process depends on micronutrients acting as cofactors. B vitamins, magnesium, iron, and others that most people never think about. A healthy metabolism is metabolically flexible. It can shift between burning glucose and burning fat, depending on availability and demand. After a meal, insulin rises, and glucose dominates. In a fasted state, insulin falls, and fat becomes the primary fuel. Chronic snacking, keeping insulin continuously elevated, reduces that flexibility. The system stays locked in glucose burning mode, with limited opportunity to access fat stores. This is the biochemical reality behind why eating patterns matter, not just what you eat. Vitamins and minerals are required in trace amounts, but their consequences when deficient? Anything but trace. Fat-soluble vitamins, A, D, E, and K, can be stored in fatty tissue and the liver. Water-soluble vitamins, like C and the B complex, are not stored significantly, so consistent dietary intake matters more for those. Minerals operate across nearly every major system. Sodium and potassium regulate electrical gradients in nerve and muscle cells. Iron transports oxygen. Iodine is required for thyroid hormone synthesis. Deficiency leads to cognitive impairment and metabolic slowdown. Zinc drives immune function and wound repair. Inside your digestive tract live roughly 38 trillion microorganisms, comparable in number to your own cells. These microbes help digest food, train the immune system, and communicate with the brain through what researchers call the gut-brain axis. The gut produces a significant portion of the body's serotonin. Disruptions to gut microbiome composition have been associated with mood disorders, metabolic disease, and autoimmune conditions. Fermented foods can introduce beneficial bacteria. Fiber feeds the existing microbial population, allowing it to produce compounds that maintain the intestinal barrier. When that barrier is compromised, as some evidence suggests ultra-processed food additives may do, it can trigger systemic low-grade inflammation. Chronic inflammation is arguably one of the most important concepts in modern medicine. Acute inflammation is protective. Chronic, low-level inflammation silently damages blood vessels, tissues, and metabolic pathways over years. Oxidative stress works through a parallel mechanism. Reactive molecules produced by normal metabolism can damage proteins, fats, and DNA when they accumulate faster than the body can neutralize them. Antioxidants from whole plant foods support that neutralization. And then there's glycation. When excess circulating sugar binds to proteins and lipids, forming advanced glycation end products associated with tissue stiffening, accelerated aging, and metabolic disease. After all of that, the practical guidance is simpler than the science suggests. Reduce ultra-processed foods. The closer a food is to its original form, the harder it generally is to overconsume. Prioritize protein and fiber. Both increase satiety, support metabolic health, and are chronically underrepresented in modern diets. Don't demonize entire macronutrients. Fat and carbohydrates are both essential. What matters is source and context, not categorical avoidance. Use supplements for genuine gaps,
not as a replacement for food quality.
The synergistic complexity of whole food matrices has not been replicated in a capsule. Because here's the honest bottom line. Nutrition is not a single molecule or a single rule. It's an interconnected system shaped by hundreds of thousands of years of evolution in an environment of scarcity, now operating in a world of engineered, hyper-palatable abundance. Understanding how that system actually works isn't just academic. It might be the most practical thing you ever learn.